a Quiet on Set documentary, and it was quite interesting. I feel like it's good that now in society, a lot of these documentaries are coming out. Um, like the documentary about Oprah Winfrey, other celebrity documentaries, the I Love You, You Hate Me documentary, and now, the Quiet on Set about Nickelodeon. I'm pretty sure more is gonna come up. Like we heard about P. Diddy, and we heard about like all these allegations of people who's getting allegations. More of this stuff is coming out. I mean, it is good, but it's at the same time you get to find what's true and what's false. Watching over the Quiet on Set documentary, like, first off, I'm gonna start by saying, like, I used to watch every one of these Nickelodeon shows, so I'm gonna salute to Dan Snyder for that. Like, those kids actors, I understand that a lot of them, they did go through something, but that's at the end of the day, what I can applaud them on and Dan Snyder on is that, yeah, you made me laugh. I probably didn't catch, the sexual jokes or whatever humor until till you get older. It's like the same thing. It's like I said that too, like shows like Moesha, right? I never knew Moesha was that bad of a show. Not saying like, oh, it was bad to watch, but like just the stuff that she did in the show, it wasn't good, for the next generation coming up with children. You shouldn't be like Moesha. But back to that documentary, a lot of the cast said that they did go through stuff on set. Me being an actor myself, I never was a child actor, never made it big. Those kids who made it on shows like All That and Kenan and Kel, they actually had a big break. That was their first job. Some of the parents in the film saying that, they wanted their kids to do that because, one of the black person's name, I kind of forgot his name, but I did see him on All That. He said that he wanted to continue acting to get his family out the hood, and it's nothing wrong with that. It's like, at the end of the day, you have to get your coins. And it's not only people in Nickelodeon, it's people on Disney. Like, I'm friends with two Disney celebrities, salute to my boy Kyle Massey. I'm not sure he went through anything. I never really got to talk to him, but I'm pretty sure it's stuff on set. Like, look at Orlando Brown, how he turned out. You never know until you ask these people. Some things might be true, some things might not be true. Like if you looked at the I Love You Hate Me documentary, Demi Lovato saying in the early stages of her career, like her first gig, that job saved her life. We gonna get into that on another topic. But back then, in that pop culture era, like I'll use Barney as an example, right? That show, a lot of people would just say, oh yeah, he molested those children and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you look at the documentary, everybody said it was a family friendly show, and all of the other stuff was rumors, and like that's why I said it's good that you got those documentaries now, because it's going to talk about the truth. Like, and me, a lot of people, like, because I was reading on the internet the past couple of days, a lot of people talk about, man, Dan Snyder is guilty, and Dan Snyder, she should be in prison. I understand that people should be held to a standard, especially like if you did do something. I'm going to say, in a way, he is guilty for some of the stuff he has done, verbal abuse. But as far as like sexually abusing, I didn't really hear of that so much, but it was a lot of verbal abuse, which he did apologize on. Not sure if that was, forced just because he got caught, but it looked like he was sort of sincere about it. But I feel like he should do something more. And it's like I said, I'm not taking nothing from Dan Snyder. I don't know the man. I think we did a video like a while back, and I kind of owe him an apology, because it's a lot of stuff he said in that documentary that was true. Being on set, if you would like major companies, right? The person who's producing the show, they're not on the payroll. So those writers who didn't get paid, I feel for them. If you got the same pay salary, like that got nothing to do with Dan Snyder, or Dan Snyder didn't, have kids at his house and he was just, excuse my language, doing very, very inappropriate things. And it's like I said, like shows like Victorious, like when you did watch it, Ariana Grande, who's one of the biggest, like one of the biggest musicians in the world right now, right? When I seen it on Victorious, it was just like, to me, it was just a regular kid show. I didn't probably catch that, like, the stuff with water. Yeah, it's like when you like 18 and up, you're gonna be like, yeah, that's weird. Like, why is Ariana Grande pouring water on herself with her mouth open? Dan probably had a different side of humor, but I mean, it's at the end of the day, those shows, when you do any type of children entertainment, right, it has to be approved. What we can have on the network, what we can't have off the network. Not saying Dan is wrong in some aspects, but it's at the end of the day, you have to blame the other people who pushed it out. Those people behind the scenes who, give the green light. The president of Nickelodeon who said, oh yeah, this is good to go. So I'm not gonna put a lot of that on Dan. And I did see Tebow. I forgot his real name, but it's good that he sat down with Dan, and Dan did admit to it. A lot of people was comparing it to R. Kelly. Nah, because it's like I said, Dan never did nothing that that vulgar. And it's like I said, I'm not trying to back him. Yeah, he should be held at some consequences or some standards. And if you really gonna apologize, you gotta make this big. Like, yeah, I messed up. So it's good that he owned a mistake. But from looking back at that, and it's like I said, Brian Peck, like, that was crazy. Like, on the Quiet On set, when the boy said that Brian Peck used to bring them for parties, right? And then you also have a portrait of a serial killer clown. And I'm not sure if that the boy was young enough to know who John Wayne Gacy was, but that was still in the time before he got locked up. You were pen pals, so I'm surprised. Good thing that none of the kids didn't fall asleep. We heard what happened to Drake Bell. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but good thing none of those kids did fall asleep. If you're friends with John Wayne Gacy, it's no telling what Brian Peck could have did. And as far as Drake Bell goes, it's like I feel bad for Drake Bell. And, salute to all those child actors, because at the end of the day, they are good professionals. Like, if you see them on camera, they didn't, really break character of what they were going through. Angelique Bates, and it's big salute to her. I was surprised that she wasn't a part of the documentary, but I got to hear what she had to say. But it's like I said, I give them that aspect of the courage. Yeah, it might have took some time, but it's like I'm glad that they finally came out, to talk about what happened, because like that's crazy. Like me, and this, like I said, I did have a conversation with my uncle. I was like, man, if I was a kid in that situation, because not every kid is different, right? I was a type of kid who was sort of like, I'm energetic. A lot of kids are energetic. A lot of kids don't know what's going on, but at the end of the day, some kids, if they feel they're in danger, some kids would do that. Maybe Drake, because at the time, it's like you making money, you're not thinking about, man, should I say this or my career is over, But me, I would definitely, I'm not saying I could beat Brian Peck if I was like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. But yeah, bro, I would have to bite his penis off, right? Because first of all, like, why are you doing that to a child? Secondly, and it's like I said, like Drake, he really unmasked that. He had his own allegations, which at the end of the day, he admitted to, and him and the person, they worked it out. It got squashed. But it's like, I don't understand, like, how did Brian Peck so long get away with stuff? And then on another show I used to watch on Disney, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, I didn't even know he was associated with that show at all. That goes to show you that those people in the documentary who put out letters, one of them might have been his friends and said, hey, we got a spot on Disney. Once you get out of jail, you could be on the show. But with all these allegations, I feel the person who should really be in jail still should be Brian Peck. And it's like I said, it's Drake Bell. He's even at the time of his career, he might not be worried, but at the end of the day, you still affected by some of that stuff. And it's like I said, I'm not trying to say that, Dan is completely innocent, but Dan didn't do as much harm as Brian Peck. And I feel like Brian Peck was, the moral of that documentary was really on him. If you really see who the bad guy was, like Dan did, help Drake in that situation. Drake in the on the documentary said Dan was good to him. To each his own. I know Jeanette McCurdy, she didn't have a good experience on iCarly. iCarly was one of the shows that, I used to like as well. I used to love iCarly. I used to love Victorious. But it's like I said, and it's like Dan said, if you felt uncomfortable, it's at the end of the day, like I said, it is money, but you still have to speak up. And if you would have reported that, like, you should have reported it at that time. And I understand most of that too, not to disrespect the parents, but the parents, it's like, I understand they told you to get up and leave, but at the end of the day, that's your child, right? Now, a lot of people who don't know, who's not in the entertainment industry, it is a thing called a Child Protection Act. You have to be with your kid if they are under the age of 18 years old, especially in the entertainment industry. You have to be with them 24/7, right? Not sure when that was set in place. I would say in like the late 2000s. And it is good to have, but some of those parents, I would say, they probably don't want to hear it, but they was greedy too, right? You're just as malice as the person who committed the crime. Like, come on, like, you had your child. Your child's not supposed to be working late. Every time you on set, it's a certain time limit for you to be working. Then your kid got to go to school, stuff like that. So you're also guilty. It doesn't seem that way, but they're suffering, and all you're doing is just taking in the bread of their success. I understand you want to get out the hood, you want this and you want that. Look what they had to go through too. So it's not just Dan Schneider and Brian Peck. And also too, I've seen Ned's Declassified. First of all, I really never liked that show anyway, and to joke on an accuser or the accused, like, that shit is not even cool, bro. Like, that wasn't funny to me. I understand that now a lot of people probably, they're gonna eat this up because it's a breadwinning topic, but you gotta understand these is real stuff that people go through. Now, people might have to go to see psychologists and stuff like that, but a lot of people who are still continuing with their careers, like, it is people on Nickelodeon who turned out to do good. Ariana Grande, Keenan Kel, Leon Thomas, he's one of the best songwriters. Liz Gillies, credit to her. And it is many others, but it's like I said, at the end of the day, if you're thinking about just getting into entertainment, it's like I said, you have to use your voice and stand up for yourself at a point in time. But I know it's going to people in the comments saying, man, he's guilty. You might say like they're guilty, but it's also two sides of the stories. But it's like I said, I'm glad that Drake Bell and everybody came out to, report their issue. And I'm not sure if Nick is going to be canceled, but these allegations will probably go somewhere. But it's like I said, I feel like Brian Peck should take most of that heat. So all these other documentaries, like the Diddy story or the Vince McMahon story, or you would just have to sit back and wait, because other people might be willing to express their pain, and the only thing you can sit back and say, let's hear the truths and let's figure out the lies.